3:14 a.m. The air in the ER crackled, not with electricity, but with an unseen menace. The air in the ER crackled, not with electricity, but with an unseen menace. A young woman, Gloria Ramirez, was wheeled in, and what followed wasn't just a medical emergency, but a descent into a baffling, terrifying unknown. February 19, 1994, Riverside, California. Gloria Ramirez, 31, was brought to Riverside General Hospital by paramedics. She was disoriented, her heart racing and struggling to breathe. A routine emergency, or so it seemed. But as doctors and nurses worked to stabilize her, a strange odor began to emanate from Gloria's body. It was distinct, fruity, almost garlicky. A smell that permeated the air, growing stronger with each passing minute. Nurse Susan Kane drew blood from Gloria's arm. As the syringe filled, she noticed something highly unusual, glittering, oily particles floating within the blood sample. This wasn't just odd, it was alarming. The medical team, already puzzled by the odor, now faced a visually disturbing anomaly. The blood wasn't behaving normally. And then, the first nurse collapsed. Susan Kane, feeling lightheaded, reported a burning sensation in her throat. She quickly fainted. Panic began to ripple through the ER. Was it mass hysteria, or something far more sinister? Moments later, Dr. Julie Gorczynski, one of the attending physicians, also became dizzy. Her muscles started spasming involuntarily. She, too, had come into close contact with Gloria Ramirez. Within minutes, more staff members began to experience similar symptoms: nausea, dizziness, fainting, muscle spasms. Eventually, 23 out of the 37 ER staff present that night became ill. 5 were hospitalized. The ER was evacuated. A full-scale hazardous materials alert was declared. Gloria Ramirez, the epicenter of this bizarre medical crisis, was pronounced dead at 8:50 a.m. But her death was only the beginning of the mystery. What caused this mass casualty event? Was it a contagious agent? A toxic gas? The initial thought was an unknown airborne pathogen, but no one else in the hospital, not even Gloria's family who brought her in, fell ill. The Riverside County Coroner's Office began an extensive investigation. They performed an autopsy on Gloria, but found no obvious cause of death or any immediate explanation for the events in the ER. The official cause of death was attributed to cardiac dysrhythmia due to kidney failure, a consequence of her untreated cervical cancer. But that didn't explain the toxic fumes or the collapsing staff. The California Department of Health and Human Services joined the inquiry. They brought in outside experts, including forensic pathologists and toxicologists. The search for answers intensified. One prominent theory emerged. Gloria had been using dimethyl sulfoxide, or DMSO, as a home remedy for her pain. DMSO is a solvent, and when applied to skin, it can produce a garlicky odor. The theory suggested that the oxygen administered to Gloria in the ambulance might have converted the DMSO in her system into dimethyl sulfone, DMSO2, which is an organic solvent, and then further into dimethyl sulfate. Dimethyl sulfate is a highly toxic compound. It's a powerful alkylating agent that can cause severe damage to the nervous system and internal organs, and it's known to be a potent cholinesterase inhibitor. This chemical, if present in Gloria's blood, could explain the oily particles and the symptoms experienced by the ER staff. It fit the narrative of a silent, invisible attacker. However, critics of the DMSO theory pointed out significant flaws. Dimethyl sulfate is incredibly unstable and would likely not survive long enough in the human body to be detected, let alone cause such widespread effects. Furthermore, the amount of DMSO needed to produce such a cascade of toxic reactions would be enormous, and there was no evidence Gloria had ingested or applied such a quantity. Another hypothesis, favored by some of the medical staff who fell ill, was mass hysteria. The psychological impact of a sudden, unexplained illness spreading through a high-stress environment could be immense. But the physical symptoms experienced by the staff, the objective lab results showing abnormal white blood cell counts and liver damage in Dr. Gorczynski, for example, argued against a purely psychological explanation. The case of Gloria Ramirez remains officially unsolved, a medical enigma that continues to baffle experts. The Toxic Lady incident highlights the terrifying possibility of an unknown chemical reaction, a perfect storm of circumstances that turned a routine ER visit into a nightmare. The events of that night in Riverside serve as a chilling reminder of how vulnerable we can be to the unseen, the unexplained, and the truly bizarre. It's a stark reminder that even with all our scientific advancements, some mysteries refuse to yield their secrets. Unravel more perplexing medical mysteries and unsolved cases by clicking on this next video.